Welcome to episode 2 of the Hard to Kill podcast. On today's episode, we have Rich Wellington. He is the breakthrough sales coach, and he is my spirit animal from across the pond in the UK. Me and Rich just have a blast anytime we get talking. And honestly, I was really happy that he said yes to come on the podcast because I think you guys are going to get a ton of value from what he has to say. He's a great salesman, and I want to ensure that you guys had the ability to listen to a guy who is an expert in his field. And currently he's running the Transformative Sales Podcast, and you can check him out on Facebook. The podcast is on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Stitcher. You should really get your hands on that if you guys are considering becoming an entrepreneur. Or even if you are an entrepreneur, this guy has a lot to offer. So guys, sit tight and enjoy.
Welcome to the Hard to Kill podcast, the go-to podcast for military, LEO, and EMS professionals, sharing ideas and experiences from around the world to make you hard to kill. Here's your host, Dave Morrow.
All right, episode 2, ladies and gentlemen, of the Hard to Kill podcast. We got Rich Wellington today, freaking salesman extraordinaire. So, Rich, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, dude, great to be on. I'll just be honest. I've just come in from the kitchen a few minutes ago. I've just come off talking to someone else. Ran into the kitchen. All the kids and everyone are in there. Elaine's made me lunch. So I'm eating ham and cheese sandwiches. I've got she's a very good baker. So homemade cookies.
I thought you said bacon. I was like, that doesn't look like bacon. Maybe it's different in the UK. Looks like a cookie, but okay. Bacon. Gotcha.
Bacon is very different. Bacon. So she's a good baker, for solid baker. So yeah, I'm just enjoying some of the fruits of her bacon. But it's really great to be here, dude.
Right. Well, it's awesome that you said yes to coming on the show. I mean, really, like in the last 2 months on my end, I've met you. I've met a whole bunch of Brits that have just kind of opened up my my realm of possibilities. You being one of them, and I think we hit it off like pretty early on. I'll be honest, Rich, I mean, the story that sticks out the most, like we were talking, it's like, yeah, okay, I'm thinking about going to Spain. So I'll give you guys context about Spain later. But so Rich gets on the phone and I'm like, okay, I'm talking to this guy. I know he's selling me, right? He's selling me. And I'm just saying like, hey, I think we get along pretty well. And like Rich was you're in the RAF, and I was like, all right, cool. And then the story that sticks out, it's like, hey, if you come to Spain, are you bringing your respirator? I'm like, what the fuck? What respirator? He's like, yeah, we're gonna run around naked with the respirators on. I was like, holy shit, this guy's an animal. I'm like, all right, I'm in. So with that being said, Rich, tell us more about yourself. Tell us what you do, and let's do this. Let's do this podcast.
Sweet. So yeah, apart from running around naked with military standard kit on my head. I'm Rich Wellington from richwellington.com. I specialize in being the communicator inside, other people's businesses. And I also teach and coach people how to be great communicators. So ultimately, for some people, it's so they can be great at sales themselves and sell their own products or for other people. And for some people, they actually get out of working with me just the communication part with themselves internally, so they can start to heal, some of the wounds that they've experienced, going through life, just like we all do, right? But I guess at times those people, as I have historically, and I'm sure you have as well, Dave, shied away from talking about some of that stuff and sharing it with other people. And then that just grows and grows and gets darker and darker and darker inside of yourself. And then you end up being like a bitter, twisted version of yourself, and that's not good for anybody. Not good for you, not good for your loved ones, not good for relationships, not good for business, not good for career. It's not good for anything, health. So yeah, I help people in lots of dynamic ways, but the thing that I'm well known for is definitely my sales coaching. And that's how Dave and I met, basically, when Dave came over to Spain. It's one of the events where I was a guest speaker. And yeah, as Dave rightly said, the first time we actually spoke together. We don't really call them sales calls. They're just it's like you just gathering intel, for the military guys and girls that are watching. And we like to make sure this particular company, that I was doing the calls for, we just like to make sure that the right people are basically going to be going to the events, or they're coming into the certain coaching programs. So I guess one of the little tests that I had for Dave, told me he was ex-military. I was like, he's going to have this sick, twisted sense of humor. There's no doubt about it. I just know he is.
There's no two ways around. Yeah, there's no two ways about it, man. It's a given, man. It's issued to you. Like the QM just says, right, here's your rifle and here's your fucked up sense of humor.
And I had a little bit of that installed in me already. My stepfather, not with my mum anymore. My stepdad for like a good 13 years. He was British police, right? He was like traffic officer and things like that. So I always loved his sense of humor and just how dark things were. I just used to get it. And then I grew up on a lot of dark humor, here in the UK, a lot of like quirky stuff that even like people my own age, when I mention it, they're just like, no, I never used to get that. And I'm like, I was like seven getting that shit. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now, but it depends how far back you want me to connect the dots, dude.
Yeah, well, you know what? Like after we got talking, and then I found out you had an intelligence background, and what I did was when I was deployed, I wasn't an intelligence operator per se, but my job was definitely sales. I had to enter into contracts, convince locals that what we wanted to do is good for them, negotiate sales price and, get kind of everybody on board and manage that whole process. And I didn't realize after, I left, I'm like, essentially I was a salesman and I was freaking good at it. And I didn't really accept that really until I started talking to you guys, and it was just one of those kind of shifts. I was like, oh, wait, I actually really enjoy this. And I really enjoy getting on sales calls. So if you could explain just a little bit, like how, your experience in the RAF and how that kind of translated. Obviously you have some abilities that before you joined, even just probably you're pretty outgoing, but how did you manage to make that shift and transfer those skills into being a successful salesman?
Got it. So I was nurtured into being a communicator, basically. So from being very young, basically my father fled the scene when I was about 18 months old, maybe 2 years old. And then that left me with my mum, and then my middle brother came onto the scene. His dad left. And then my youngest brother's dad came onto the scene. He was abusive to us and led us through a few years of dark times, in all honesty. And I guess that's probably one of the first times I realized that I could step back. So this is as a child. I was only like sort of 6 years old at this point. I could step back and assess a situation to make sure I wasn't going to get hurt, or I could remove as much, like damage control as much as possible. Whereas my middle brother at the time, he didn't quite have that ability because he was a few years younger than me. So unfortunately, he would, get the brunt of it. And I was listening to my mum, getting hurt and hit quite a lot. So I learned how to go into situations. And I guess at that point, before obviously I got to being an adult, I was like a people pleaser, right? So I got good at talking to people and making sure that they were getting what they needed. So I became like almost grey in their mind. Right, it was quite deep for like 5 or 6 year olds to be thinking about. But yeah, we went through that real dark patch in our lives, and then we were moving around quite a lot. Basically for my youngest brother's father's work, and also then when we actually tried to finally leave that situation to get free of it, we were bouncing up and down the country quite a bit. So I went to like nearly 30 different primary schools. We moved house, an equivalent amount of time. So again, I was forced into a situation with my little brother by my side where I had to be really good at meeting new people all the time and talking to them, making friends, because I realized subconsciously, I guess at the time, that if I didn't do that, we'd be really lonely and we'd always be the outsiders. Now, I remember on a few occasions, where people didn't accept us in certain schools. putting bullies above my head and chucking them across the playground to protect my little brother and stuff. It was like one school where I only went to for like one day, and then we were on to the next place. Like we've lived in a house for like one day once. Okay, so that's how unstable it was, and how fast paced we were actually moving at. And I guess for a lot of years, up until maybe a few years ago, I was still. I'm looking outside of my window right now. I was still putting like bags into the car, and they had all clothes in and like wash kit and things like that. And I guess being in the military didn't help that situation, because obviously you're in that
constantly moving.
You're in that place all the time, right? Anyway, we finally settled in the town where we live right now. When my granddad died, and my nan bought a house with us. We bought a 3-story house, and then my mum met my stepdad, Steve. He was a police officer, added loads of stability, to what we were doing. They ended up getting married, and we ended up creating a family business off the back of a crazy idea to buy a computer. This is back in 1997, right? So this is when this is when computers were like the size of this desk, and it was like got 3 guys to like carry it up the stairs and stuff. He brought one back because one of his buddies at the police station was like an IT guy. That's what he did for the police station. Brought this computer back. I'm like, oh, what do we need this shit for? I think that was exactly what Mum said to him. Oh, it's a computer. We can do all sorts. We can play games on it, solitaire. And I remember just catching my mum one evening when I came back from school, because I was learning IT at school at the time. She was drawing this Colgate toothpaste bottle. Right? She was copying it. Right? So she had it right next to her. And I was like, whoa, I didn't realize you could do that good a drawing in Microsoft Paint. She's like, oh yeah, I've been here for about an hour doing it. I was like, oh cool. And I was like, she's pretty good at that. That's pretty fucking sweet. And I didn't realize at that age, I was sort of like 10 years old, that she was as artistic as she actually was. Anyway, she ended up getting a design contract with one business. They spotted her work, and then it kind of started to blow up. And then we brought computers into the business, as well as design work and all the consumables and printers and ink and paper and CD writers and blank DVDs. You name it, we sort of had it. This was back before the internet was big, and this was just as Amazon was appearing on the scene. And we ended up setting up a massive shop in this town. So every night, after I'd finished school jumper would come off, and I would be working in the shop, 10, 11 years old, basically.
Sorry, just to interrupt you for our Canadian and American listeners. The jumper, just to clarify, is that your sweatshirt?
Sweatshirt. Yeah, sweatshirt.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. The sweatshirt had come off. I'd have my school shirt underneath, and basically I'd be serving customers, answering their questions. And obviously I'd already been watching my mum and my stepdad, how they communicated with people, the sort of questions they were asking. And obviously being a child, I learned really fast about technology, and how it all worked. And that was my first taster, if you like, for actual selling. I was like 10 years old in our family shop, selling stuff to people. And then I didn't really enjoy school, I guess, because I had a bit of a strange upbringing. I missed a lot of school. And when I got to being sort of 15, we opened up another shop in the next town along, and I basically left school. Everyone was doing their GCSEs, so I don't know what you guys call them.
Is that to leave high school?
Yeah, so I was 15 at the time.
Oh, okay, yeah. So back home, we don't really have, every province has something different. Essentially, we have exit exams in grade 10 and grade 11. So here in Quebec, you got to pass French, English, math, and science. So it sounds, I guess these have kind of like the SATs. So I think, do you guys go to like a trade school or like you go to like a track that can take you to university? Is that the kind of point of the exam? Or?
I'm obviously going back a good sort of 16, 17 years. So you could go on to what's called sixth form, or you could go to college, or go to university. All that different sort of. You can definitely stay in the education system for a long time over here in the UK, but I made a conscious effort. I didn't want to do that. I was already making money, so from being sort of 10 to 15, I was working at local car boots, so where people sell stuff like second hand in a field out the back of their car boots, what you guys call a trunk, right? Right. So I was going there and I was like making money selling stuff off paste tables. So when you wallpaper a wall or whatever, I was selling stuff off that. And I was selling copied DVDs and CDs to my teachers. So pirated copied DVDs
Nice.
and CDs. Yeah.
Nice.
So I was going in with a backpack. Oh yeah, dude. Like, so I built a computer, saved up money to buy a DVD writer. And I was just like, I was making money every day basically at school. Right? I was sometimes probably making more money than my teachers were making.
Wow.
Right. So I always had pockets of cash. That was my thing. I had pockets of cash all the time. So when I left when I was 15, I was like, this is exactly what I'm going to do. Went and worked for the family. I had 2 staff at the time that were working underneath me, managed them, made the shops a massive success. I then transitioned away from the family business. So obviously learned a lot, about talking to people, running shops, running a business, managing the whole thing. Like my whole family, my 2 brothers, my mum and my stepdad left for France for 2 weeks and left me in charge of everything.
No. Don't worry, kid. You got this. Don't worry.
Yeah. So like, is there anything that you need? I was like, nope.
Wow, that's amazing.
Got it. So they fucked off to France for 2 weeks and left me basically in charge of the whole show. So yeah, I learned a lot from being chucked into the deep end, and I like deep end action. Mm-hmm. I like it just like, fucking, just throw me in. I'll figure it out.
Right.
I'll make it fucking work because it has to, basically. Anyway, I left the family business after a few years because I realised I can't go anywhere else unless I was to be handed the actual keys to the kingdom. Mm-hmm. And you never, and I don't mind this so much now, but you never get to leave a family business either. So like at the dinner table, it would still be the same conversation. So I was like, I'm going to go do something different. So I went and then moved on to sell cars and vans. So I sold cars and vans for like just under a year. Didn't enjoy it though because there was a lot of, I came from this wholesome family business background where we served the community. So all of a sudden selling cars and vans where they wanted me to be like targeted and sell like mats and fucking spray to get rid of bugs off fucking lights. I'm like, old Mrs. Smith who's 80 years old doesn't need all this shit. I'm just going to give her the bare minimum that she needs, right? Because that was just my attitude. They didn't like that. Left that situation, went back to working for a local business again. They sold log cabins, sheds, outdoor buildings. We used to import and export specialist woods. I basically managed the whole of their sales pitches throughout the whole of the UK. And again, I was only like 19 at this point. Managed a workshop of real burly blokes who were like all joiners and like had
like missing fingers and shit. Like,
yeah. Like imagine a 19-year-old lad going into a workshop with 40-year-old guys. Yeah. Right, and telling them what to do. At first, there was just like, they were like this. And then eventually, when they realised I was actually really good at what I did, they kind of succumbed to it.
That's like being a junior officer in the army. You show up, you're 19 years old, and you got grizzled sergeants that have been freaking fighting the Taliban for a few years. And it's like, excuse me, sergeant, but I think this is the way we're going to do it. And they're like, okay, young buck, we'll see about that.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly it.
Exactly, man. So that I was working on the doors at the time as well. I was a doorman. I've always been sort of, since I was about 13, 14, like 6'2", like I'm 260 pounds now as I'm sat here. I'm just like just a big bloke, big hands, big feet. I won't say massive cock, but yeah.
That's a given. I mean, come on. I know, everybody listening knows it's a thing. It's going to be a thing.
Worked on the doors, but I was never physical with people, right? So I used my communication skills rather than like getting fisty with people. I just found that was my way of doing things. Anyway, I was stood on the door one night and I was like, there's something more to life than this, what I'm doing right now. Like, I need something more. And I was like, all of a sudden I had this urge that I wanted to do qualifications. I wanted to have certification that I was good enough, because I'd not got any qualifications because I'd sacked it all off when I was younger. Mm-hmm. So I literally the next day, I was just Googling like IT because I wanted to do IT again and I missed it all. And I wanted to do something really important, something away from the small towns that I was living in. And I was like, right, maybe subconsciously as well, I needed to go and like find who I was as a man. So I like Googled, best jobs in the world, blah, 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 like Army, Royal Air Force, Navy, all the military stuff starts coming up, police, fire service. And on the Royal Air Force website, there was, IT, intelligence and stuff. And I was like, fucking just a ticket. And it was like Microsoft certification, Cisco certification. You go to radio school, number one radio school, which is, Cosford. Learn from the best. You get like university standard education in like just over a year. And I was like, oh, it sounds like a fucking dream. So I went to
and fed.
Exactly. I was like, this is amazing. This is amazing. Like, I absolutely loved it. So I went to the office, like, I think the day after, just to like get a pamphlet or a leaflet or whatever. I ended up walking out of the office, signed up.
That was a good recruiting surgeon. Good salesman. It's like
real nice guy. Nice guy he was. And I'm very easy to sell to. If I want something, I'm just like that. It's a done deal. You know what I mean? You might as well just get off the phone with me and just take my card details as far as I'm concerned. I signed up, so I started getting fit. So I think I applied or did that. That was in the August, sometime near my birthday. And by October the 31st, so like 2 months later, I was attesting on the Bible at RAF Halton for my basic training. And that was just a whole other, different journey for me. Just, going through basic and then going to trade. It was just like, I think the thing that I really took away from it was because I was a little bit old. I was like 20 years old at the time. Just turned 20 at least. And there was a lot of like younger guys, sort of 17, 18, 19, yeah, right, and maybe not had the level of responsibility that I'd had. And that came to light, after a good few weeks. And we had people dropping off left, right, and centre, whether it was due to fitness or just missing home. But there was a real strong turning point for me. I will say this. I was maybe only 2 or 3 weeks in, and we just watched downstairs in the barracks, our corporal, who was basically, mentoring us and stuff, showed us this video. And he was like, right, this is the reality of the war zone right now. Flicks the video on, there's people getting blown up, there's IEDs going off, and just showing body parts and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. Partly scare tactic, and the other part, this is the truth, right? This is probably where you're going to get flown out to in however many months' time. Got it. And I was just like, holy shit. Fucking hell. I was like, I've just come away from a nice, small, sleepy town, and they're off to send me to get blown up. So I went back upstairs, and we had our own time. And I went into the bag room where we, kept all of our civilian kit before we were allowed to leave, because we were kept on base for like 4 weeks before we were allowed to leave and have contact with the outside properly. I phoned my mum, and I was like, Mum, this isn't my war. I don't want to do this shit, right? And right, with like the coolest, calmest voice, right? So bearing in mind, this woman has protected me through times of, being abused and all sorts of shit. We've lived in the most horrible places you can imagine and had no money and stuff. So imagine getting a phone call off your boy saying, I'm in need. I need your help right now. She said, you're going to stay there and you're going to do exactly as you said you were going to do. You're going to follow through. And I was like shut the chatter up in my head. Mm-hmm. And I was like, fuck, I'm not getting rescued.
No.
Right?
The boats have been burned.
Exactly. So this was the second turning point in my life, as I'm assessing, is like I put the phone down and I was like, I'm on my own with this one. I'm literally, I wanted to be my own man, and I wanted to be able to figure things out for myself. So this is my opportunity. The next day, we went and did, casualty evacuation drills. They were teaching us all of that, dragging each other up and down muddy fields and carrying each other over the shoulder and stuff. And, I'm bad. I hate running. I'm no good at running. But I'm fairly strong, from a particular stance point and things. And, like bigger guys lend quite well to dragging people through the mud and stuff, when you're fully kitted up. And, we put our team together and they're like, right, whoever the fucking last team is, you're going to get annihilated. We're going to beast you, blah, 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 blah. So I was like fucking revving myself up. One of our guys went man down, hurt his leg. So there was two guys. Legit hurt his leg, right? So the corporal was like, "You fucking lay down in the mud, right? Your team's got to fucking drag you out of it. This is a real life situation." He was like, "What? Who's going to fucking act on this?" And we're racing, right? It's just loads of teams going up and down the pitch. So I just jumped in, grabbed both of these lads, fucking ran up, pulled both of these dudes, ran up, ran back down again, and we won, basically. And the sergeant was like, "Your nickname is now Tank." Right? And I took that opportunity to like step in and take the responsibility. I didn't know whether I was going to be able to pull them.
Right.
I didn't know. I was just like, I'm just going to fucking go in and do it. And so that became my nickname throughout my military career, basically, was Tank. And then that changed my mindset and how everyone else pictured me. I was then the slightly older guy who could do things and had a different way of talking. So I became like the leader within our group, right? So then that gave me the confidence. I was like, I've always been a leader. I've always wanted to lead people and do good things, and not from like an obnoxious standpoint, but be a proper leader. Yeah, you know, leaders eat last, and that sort of mindset. So yeah, that really lent well, you know, into the very beginnings of my military career. I got a lot of awards and Silver Salver awards, as we call it at RAF Cosford, and I did very well in my trade training as well. 13 months of really intensive, you know, IT training and things like that. I had to go back to school and learn a lot of maths and things like that. But yeah, in terms of like the sales side of it, I think it was more just communication in general that really, you know, played into my hands at that point in time, because I quickly realized that I probably should have gone down the path of going to be an officer. Yeah, but I'm pleased that I went into the ranks, you know, to be with everybody else. But it's once I got onto the base and I was like, yes, I am younger than a lot of you here, but my experiences are like up here, and I've already managed teams and I've run businesses, and do you know what I mean? I've done that. I think that was my big issue. And then there was a lot of red tape as well. So we had to spend a lot of money on contractors coming in to do little jobs like fix a printer. And that's what I used to do. Yeah. That's what I used to do. So like, you know, you can't fix that printer, Tank. Why? Because we get contractors in to do that. And how much does that cost? Well, it costs £500 an hour. I can fix this. It's going to take me like 2 minutes. So just little things like that used to like wind the shit out of me, you know. Yeah. So the main reason why I left, just to, you know, give you a bit of insight, was I got an intelligence posting, but it was very, very lonely. Very, very, very lonely. So I used to be inside of a caged and steel door room where I'd get zapped in and out, put all the stuffs out of my pockets, you know, into trays, go into this room, and then I'd be in there for 12 hours plus, sometimes on my own for the whole time. And I'd do 4 days on, 4 days off. And on the 4 days off, so I was on my own for 4 days at weird times. And then the 4 days off would be on days when no one else was around. It was like during the week or something. So I was just on my own all the time, perpetually. Very, very fucking lonely. And I asked to move post, and basically I couldn't, because I'd got a DV, to a certain level, developed vetting. Okay. So I was read up above top secret, basically, was my DV clearance, because of the stuff that I was doing. So they were very reluctant to let me go and do anything else, because they'd basically invested so much money into me. I was basically a business asset at that point in time. Yep. So I just decided to leave, because I just couldn't honestly see my mental health was suffering. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm going to have to part ways with this. I'm going to have to put it down, which really saddened me, because I planned out a very long military career and transitioned into other things. But yeah, I put that down. And then I picked up sticks with like my entrepreneurial nurturing, and I set businesses up before I'd even left, and transitioned straight back into that from leaving. So yeah, and that's kind of led me down this path of, I had fitness businesses, health and fitness stuff. And then, and this was still brick and mortar at this time.
Right, you used to run if I remember correctly, you used to do like boot camps and stuff like that, didn't you?
Correct. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So not in this town here, but where we used to live. Yeah, I basically dominated. I basically dominated. No one else stood a chance. And if you are from that town and you're listening to this,
You know
that.
Everybody knows Rich the
Yeah.
tank.
Exactly. And it was definitely never in an aggressive way or anything like that. I just think so many people really struggle to communicate that, as soon as I appear into these towns where other people thought they had the monopoly because I am the PT in town, it's like, well, actually, you're about to get a bit of a shell shock situation. You're going to have to raise your standards because I'm going to come in and start creating YouTube videos for all these people. I'm going to start, going out and interviewing people, for audio podcasts and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And people just weren't doing that stuff or understood it. Whereas I took all of these years worth of experience and, going around the world and doing this stuff with the military and just condensed it into this one place. And I just went all in and just took over in a matter of months. Very, very quickly. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really important message that you're saying there for, anybody that's listening out there, for especially, not every guy that's in the military obviously has good communication skills. I mean, like, let's be honest, a lot of us are freaking cavemen, but the ones that do, and like, I'm just reflecting on, like, my career, even though I was a big guy, like, we're both big dudes, right? When I was growing up, I was a chubby kid, and like I wanted to talk to girls, right? So I was like, how do I freaking do this? They didn't want to talk to me because I was just like, I was grotesque, It's just like, so I was like, okay, learn how to be funny. So, like my family, like we got a good sense of humor, but I kind of picked up on cues, and that's kind of my in for any conversation is kind of how do I make somebody laugh in the first like 10, 15 seconds. And that was kind of the way in to like start chatting up with girls. And then that just naturally transferred to, just chatting with people in general. So I always kind of deferred to a job that required me to talk. And then that's what kind of led me down to teaching, because you talk literally all day, but it was just the wrong type of talking. Doing the lectures all day, it was just like freaking, it started to become like you said, mental health. Right, mental health. I was like, I'm saying this shit every day. I don't know if and then like I don't know if you've ever worked with 12-year-olds on a regular basis, but you have your own kids, but when you have like classrooms full of them, oh, buddy, man, it's the most draining shit in the world. So
I can imagine you just longing for adult conversation when you're just in that.
That's exactly what it came down to. It was like, I talk about, I don't know, something that's not revolving around having to play video games or talk about your last grade, or like at a certain point you're just like, man, I just want to but then you come home and you're so tired you don't even want to talk to your wife, you're just like, oh, just like shoot me now. Like in my head, you remember Kindergarten Cop with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Just
put the cookie down.
Put the cookie down. Just like, my name is Detective John Kimball. I was just like, like it's just like those rage moments. And granted, you were like stuck in a box by yourself, but I felt that loneliness because I was just like, I was stuck in my like a box, like a glass case of my emotions. Like I just couldn't converse with anybody. Like I'm in a glass case of emotions. So yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway. I think your experience is freaking. That's really, really good to know that you come from all that adversity, and then that turned into just being able to communicate, and then you found that way to kind of create those communication skills and use them to your advantage. It's freaking awesome, man.
I didn't see it that way for a lot of years, Dave. I didn't see it that way at all, dude. I mean, it took me up until I don't know, 2014, 15 to realize that actually all that shit that had happened to me, it had happened for me, because now I've got something that a lot of other people don't get to experience. So I can actually turn this into a superpower. Right. And, someone helped me. It was the business that we took on to help us elevate the fitness business even more. It was that particular chap that also opened my eyes to the online world too. That helped me just rephrase everything. So when I shared with him, this powerful stuff that had happened, he was like, this is amazing. You could write a book about this. You could do all this and this and this. He's like, do not see this as like a disability. Mm-hmm. Do not see this stuff as something where you should be ashamed and you should have to hide it. It's like, fucking wear it. Like, tell people about it. Because if you can wear it with pride and be like, oh, I've turned this into this, other people that have been through that same scenario, they're going to realize you can change other people's lives. by sharing this stuff. Rather than it being all surface level and just about, losing a bit of weight and stuff like that. It's like, it's the real deep stuff, that helps us all connect. This is why, over the last few years, I've developed my 3C method: communicate, connect, and close. We can't basically if we communicate properly inwardly, that helps us to communicate outwardly. Mm-hmm. So one of the first things I get people to do when they come to work with me is share their shit, right? Share their shit, stuff that they don't tell themselves properly, never mind they don't tell somebody else, so they can start actually just clearing themselves out, just feeling lighter about everything that they're fucking doing. Because you can't, honestly, if you're a coach, I know we've got a broad audience listening to this, but if you're a coach and you're asking other people to talk about their problems, but you've never shared yours properly, that's not integral, right? That to me isn't, when we're talking about the word integrity, that's something that we carry pretty hard as military guys. Mm-hmm. Having integrity is like one of the most important aspects of being in the military, because if you've not got integrity, other people die, right? If you're really cutting it down to it. Yep. So, that's really important for me on the communication side of things, because then that helps to move into the next C, which is connect. Because then you can connect properly with other people when you're prepared to share your own stuff. The closing part, this is where I have a very, very different take to a lot of other salespeople in the world, is the closing that's where the least amount of effort needs to be put in. The most amount of effort's in the communication and the connection. The closing, I think that's a very aggressive word. I don't actually like it, but it's what is understood by the majority of people. Right. Closing's like, it sounds very oppressive, like I'm going to close you, I'm going to make you buy something that you don't want.
You don't really want it. No, I don't want it. No, I don't want it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Whereas in actual fact, if you communicate so well and you connect with humans, other people at the highest level, people close themselves. They close that loop, because an idea comes in. Do it the right way, this way. See, an idea comes in. I want to lose weight. It never happens. I want to lose weight. It never happens. I want to make money. It never happens. I want to get a better relationship. It never happens. If you communicate and connect properly with that person, they'll actually close that loop themselves and say, they'll have that realization and that aha moment. They'll go, fucking hell, that's what I've been doing to myself the whole time. Shit, I need to change this. And then you're there ready to catch them, as Dave does with his guys, like, and say, I've got the perfect program for you, dude.
Yep.
I can help you with all of that shit, So
it's amazing.
So that's basically, and this is good for me talking like this about it as well, because it's not been long while I've been implementing everything, throughout my whole life. Because people think, because someone said to me the other day, they're like, it's easy for guys like you, just come up with ideas and, just like, I'm like, dude, this has been like 31 years in the making. Do you not think just like came to me last night and all of a sudden I'm just smashing it out across the world?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a misconception where successful people just had success thrust upon them, right? Athletes, actors, like they all had to grind, man. Like nobody becomes successful overnight. Like you don't see all the crap that people had to go through to get to where they're at. And it's just saying like that mindset, like that everything you ended up going through, that's your gift. It's just most people don't even realize that they have a gift. Everybody does. Literally everybody does. That's the thing I've noticed in the last few months. Like literally everybody has a gift and everybody has a story, and anybody can turn that story into something worthwhile. And it's been freaking awesome. Like you're talking about, your 3C method, sitting in that class with you in Spain. Like I've seen a therapist, and I was looking at you. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, this guy's looking into my soul. Like you got that, like that look and that delivery that just really reaches in. And you know what I mean? And that's essentially what a good therapist does too. Like you're on a call with somebody and you're figuring out their pain points. What are you essentially doing? Like, people cry, I've seen it, like it's wild, because you're literally open up about the things that hurt the most, and then you make that connection, and then hopefully from there, like you said, they can close that loop. Man, that's super powerful, super powerful.
Love helping people, helping people with that. Really, it moves me. Like when people talk about having a purpose and their big why, it's definitely my purpose every day to, shift someone into a different place of thinking, a different place of being, a different place of existing. I know so this sounds maybe a little bit fucking airy-fairy for a lot of people, but if you can turn up and live with like whatever your purpose is, I don't care what your purpose is. Like this is mine. This is what I get excited about. Then I think you're onto something really big for yourself. If you can find your purpose in life, because I think a lot of people go through life with, like I was for a long time. I think this is why I was transitioning from so much stuff from one to another. I was so lost. I think maybe a lot of that, in hindsight, comes down to I didn't have a really strong male role model for like the first sort of 10 years of my life. So then this has not played out well for me in my relationships as an adult, because I've had to learn what a man is, who a man is, what a man does, what his role is in the world. But then also that's given me some, that's then for me to go, I did that, I learned a lot about that. Obviously I can give a lot of kudos to like my mother, my stepdad and, all the other guys that have been in my life, whether that's friends or otherwise. But ultimately I'm the one that had to actually go through those transitions and learn it. So there is a sense of pride in that as well. It's almost like, on the films, is it like 300 or something where they've kicked the boys out into the wild and like, go be men. Go hunt wolf.
Go hunt a wolf. If you don't come back, well, you weren't meant to be.
Yeah, honestly, I felt like I've been out there for like a good 10 years plus, since I left for the military. And it's only over the last sort of few years that I've come to terms with like what the responsibilities of a man is and what you have to do and who you are. I'm very comfortable, of that stuff now. Very comfortable. Yeah, like I'm quite happy to. Sounds really like strange because I'm only in my 30s, but I'm quite happy to grow old and just get wiser and more intelligent. Being
you got
in this
zero gray hairs, man. You got plenty of potential there.
Yeah, I know. My barber actually cuts into my fringe because my hairline's so low. Yeah, dude, look, I can only fit 2 fingers.
You've got that like caveman like hairline.
Look, two fingers, that's it. I've got a super low hairline. See, I've got great hair. Good breeder.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's due to the big cock and the massive amounts of testosterone coursing through our veins at all times. Like I said, I think we're spirit animals. We're just separated by an ocean. Oh, shit. Just to touch back on the idea of like being a man and stuff like that. I listened to a Canadian psychologist. He's been popularized in the last year or so, Jordan Peterson, and he says like, what, men, they need to find purpose. We don't have a purpose right out of the gate. We have to find it. Whereas women, they have a purpose already built in. They can have children. We can't. So, whether they choose to or not, that's up to them. But there is a purpose that's already defined there. For us, it's like we have to go on that journey. We have to find it. And, if you don't have the role model, like you said, man, it's not easy. Like I'm only realizing, I'm getting in my late 30s. I'm like, a lot of soul searching. It's like, okay, this is what I actually like doing. I like communicating with people. I need to always be in this space. And like me and my family, we've done well, but it's a transition period now to really be in that space. But the feeling I have now, it's like my body responds to being in the right spot. I'm not always tired. Like I don't feel cranky as much. It's like all these little things that kind of start making this person, myself. It's like that rebuild, and it's really empowering, man. So like what you say is just bang on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, just thinking about having the male role model for a purpose. On the flip side, I've met a lot of guys who've had very stable upbringings. Same mum and dad. Biological mother and father, but then have still really lacked, even into their 40s, to find purpose. Because even though perhaps their parents did, they had that concrete, stable upbringing, perhaps what their parents did wasn't ultimately what they were meant to do. Mm-hmm. I think even if you have that, I don't think it matters what background you experience. I think you still have to go through your own transitions of learning what your purpose is, what your why is,
Oh man,
Why have you fucking been put on this earth? Like, what is that fucking big question? You know? And like we talked about in Spain, that's why I opened with it. Like, life means nothing. You know,
yeah.
You love that. You love that, didn't you?
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's like, yeah, it hit us hard right in the gut. And he said it with a smile too. It's like, it means nothing. I was like, yes, I like where this guy's going. Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly. You know, so just give you a bit of insight, basically, you know, I asked the guys at the beginning of the Spain workshop, like, write down on a bit of paper. These guys have never met me before. right? So I rocked up, took my shoes off and my socks off. Right, so I'm this barefoot guy, 6'2", in shorts, t-shirt. Never met me. I stand in front of them all and say, get your pens and papers out. And we've just done this Tony Robbins thing, right? Mm-hmm. I am the power. We've just done that big screaming thing with James Moody. And I said, right, get your pens and papers out and write down on that bit of paper. What is the meaning of life? What does life mean to you? And I got a few square looks. I was like, yeah, do it. Go on, write it down. Take a few minutes. I'll give you a couple of minutes. And then shut the page up, and we cracked on with everything else that you believed you'd come to learn about. And then we reverted back to this, you know, because I said basically I was going to show you what the meaning of life was. I was going to present to you what it actually meant, you know, come the end of my time talking to you all, and to give you all a bit of insight, just as a spoiler, the meaning of life is nothing. There's no meaning. It's just what you add. It's your interpretation of what life means. But sometimes, because of what we've experienced and upbringing and relationships and friendships and parents, whatever else, unfortunately, the meaning of life can be quite dark. It can be quite dull. It can be quite lifeless. It can be depressive, right? To the point of where some people they take their lives.
Yep.
Whereas what I'd like everyone to reframe, or at least attempt to, is that life can mean whatever you want it to mean. You know, literally, it can mean whatever you want it to mean. And, you know, if I think back to some of the darker times, you know, when I was younger, you know, when we had nothing, and, you know, just as a deep share, there was one evening, I must have been, 5-6 years old, and I heard stuff going off in my mum's bedroom, whatever was going on there. I was so scared to leave my room that I went to the toilet in my toy box. Right. So if I think back to then, I was even finding ways then to cope with what was going on, because that's what you do as human beings. Like, there's always a way around something. So add a different meaning, to all of that stuff. Add a different meaning to all the shit that you've been through, and just fucking 180 it. You've got the opportunity to do that, and don't just live inside, the dark places. There's absolutely no need.
No,
so,
absolutely.
There you go. Sorry about the tangent.
No, that was a huge share. No, really, that's good. And you know what, like that purpose thing, like especially for veterans, it's finding that purpose and keeping that purpose, because we're purpose driven, we're mission driven. Like, and then you leave, especially for guys that are transitioned out. It's hard to find that purpose. The military gives you the purpose, and that's why you will always have guys like us like joining the military, because it's like a purpose in a box, right? It's like, boom, here you go.
Yeah.
But then. Yeah, exactly. I freaking loved it. Like I remember calling my mother on the first weekend after we did our first week at basic, and she's like, "Oh, how you doing?" I'm like, "Ma, I fucking love this. I never swore at my mother. Never." She's like, "Oh, that's nice." And I just went off, and I was just like, I found something that I'm good at, and I can see myself really going forward with this, because it's, the rules are well defined, and it's just, I flourish. And that's, kind of the same thing as you. Like, it's just one of those things where like I had that purpose now, and I could move forward, and I knew how to do it. So yeah, it's just when you leave though, or when you get discharged, it's not the easiest thing to do. And that's why, building a community like we're doing here, just to share stories. And that's what it comes down to. Like, it breaks my heart every time I hear a guy that takes his life. Like, it's just, it doesn't matter, British, American, Canadian, it's just, like, what more could we have done? And hopefully that, sharing the stories and stuff like that will give some context, and at least shed a bit of light in an otherwise dark place. That, like you said, there's always a way, there's always a workaround. whether it's reaching out or, talking to somebody or listening to something, or, it could be as easy as just a story that you just told. It just turns a switch on. It's like, oh shit, like I didn't think of things that way. So hopefully that's what we get to do, with sharing stories like yourself and, other members are going to be on the show.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Rich, just to finish up with the last big three. So I like finishing off the podcast with the big three questions. Let's start with number one. So your biggest influence so far, who's that been?
In life?
Sure. In life, business, it could be literally anything. Who's your biggest, who do you think is your biggest influence so far to date?
That's a really difficult question. I can't pay tribute to just one person. If I was going to talk about being a man or being a father, it'd be my stepdad, Steve. I realize how now being in the situation of having to look after a lot of people and being that person that's responsible for everyone, how difficult it is, and how I gave him some shit at the time. I'm going to be real. Like, I gave him some shit, and so did my middle brother. Like, you're not my dad, and blah, 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 all that stuff. And, really now thinking about it, sometimes it, brings tears to my eyes, like how stable he was and just how he just turned up. He went to work, and then he came and worked in the family business as well. He was just on it all the time. He was very hardworking, a great work ethic, and just, he very much just like, let my mum just like, yeah, if you want to do that, darling, if you want to decorate and do that, he just like totally stepped back and just really made me understand that like masculine, feminine role inside the relationship. Whereas I think a lot of guys sometimes like this metrosexual way of being, like getting involved with, some of the things that I traditionally and personally feel like is more of a female role. If you've got the masculine and feminine balanced, if you haven't, that's totally fucking fine. But anyway, he helped me understand that. Next big person in my life that helped me to understand like how to leave the military and, get a real strong understanding of like business was like, I went and worked for a business for sort of 6 to 9 months. And I was a customer relationship manager, and the CEO of the company, who I went to have the interview with, basically hired me on the spot. He was an ex-Royal Marine Commando. Nice. And I was not long. Yeah, exactly. I was not long out of the Royal Air Force, and I went in and I was like, "This is what I've done." Bang, bang, bang. And he was just like, "Yeah, I'm going to tell you you're hired right now, but let's just sit and have a talk, and I'll tell you about myself." And blah, blah. I told him all about his Royal Marine Commando career and what he did with intelligence, blah, blah, blah. And basically, I became his like inside man that would find information out, what was going on in the customer service portion, what our trainers were doing in the gym and stuff. So it was like it was a big business, and he sent me off on all these trips to basically fill my head full of amazing knowledge and business experience. He was called David, and I'm really grateful for him coming into my life. And that he, like any men that have come into my life, I've realized that played all these roles, I like took on as like father figures. Yeah. And I like really like sunk my teeth into them, and I felt like a little boy, like holding onto their leg, like watching and listening to what they were saying. You know what I mean? And I've definitely taken parts of these people away with me. So that was him. And then I've had great friends, like yourself. I guess my mentor, he was my coach for the fitness business, Simon Lovell. He played a big part in me learning a lot about myself, because he's the person that, because he had a lot of this going on himself, to just open up and talk about your shit and wear that as you being the hero of your own story, basically. So a lot of big turning points through those three people. And even now, I'm still learning stuff from the stuff he used to say, even a few years back. So, wicked. Yeah, those three guys, I reckon.
Wicked. Thanks for the share. All right. So then next up would be just the latest book, latest podcast. What are you reading? What are you listening to? What's got your ear so far?
Cool. Well, my mission for this year, and apologies if this messes up with when you're releasing the podcast and stuff, but for 2019, basically, my goal is to read one book a month. So we're really bad. We're really bad at this. We've got Amazon Prime, and we'll see a book and we'll just buy it. It'll just go to the shelf, and the shelf just gets bigger. And I feel all self-righteous because I've got a new book, but I've not fucking read it. So the goal, basically, I still need to do this. I'm saying this out loud.
Reading through osmosis. It's just like you print the book into you somehow by having it on your shelf. Yeah, I do the same thing too. I feel so good.
Well, I can see the spine of all the books from here, and
when you showed me, I was like, wow, that's an impressive library you got going on there. You must read a shit ton of books.
That is one of the many shelves I've got in the house that is full of Amazon Prime books. But so one book a month, basically. So the first book I'm going to start with is either, and I'll talk about a book that I've read in the past, it's either going to be The Chimp Paradox, or a gift that I got from Sam Ovens from consulting.com. I did him a bit of a favor inside of his community. If no one knows who Sam Ovens is and what consulting.com is, I definitely recommend going and have a look. I did a bit of British intelligence work for him, found out who was ripping his courses off. I brought them to justice, and he sent me a book all the way from America as a little gift.
Nice.
And that book is Life and Work Principles by Ray Dalio. Now, this book is a lot bigger than I normally read. It's about this thick.
There's no pictures in it. I don't think there's any pictures in it either.
Small words, no pictures.
Small word, no pictures. Shit.
I'm used to like magazines with tits and asses.
Yeah.
This is difficult. But they're the two books I'm probably going to start on this year. But one of my favorite books that I've read to do with like personal development and stuff has definitely been, one of them is SAS, Who Dares Wins. Leadership Secrets from the Special Forces. So 3-4 guys from British military. And then the other one is called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Fantastic book. Talks about the glass ceilings that we create for ourselves and how we hit those ceilings and we drop back down and go back to self-sabotaging, and we can either break through those things or come back down to the bottom again. So 2 really great books.
Wicked. Okay, so yeah, we'll have to get those links up on the show notes once we post them up so that people can get a grip of them. Ray Dalio is definitely on my list too, but the other ones you mentioned too, I'll definitely have to take a look at. That sound pretty wicked.
Great books. I usually gift those books as well. The Big Leap, I usually gift those to clients because it's such a basic concept, but the simplicity of it makes it so powerful with anything that you do in life. It's great.
Yeah, and man, that's the reason why we, so I got the big 3, and one of them's books that were podcasts. It's honestly due to podcasts and, a few key books that I read in the last 2 years that I completely made a total mind shift. It's just like that, like thought contagion in a positive sense. It's so powerful. It's so freaking powerful. And now just I'm doing a podcast. You know what I mean? 5 years ago, I didn't even know what these things were. They were just kind of on the fringe, right? It's like podcasts where you a nerd, let's just do a podcast. But then I just, a colleague of mine, he started doing it. I'm like, you doing a podcast, dude? And
podcast is like, if you're a pea and you broke an arm, that's what you'd wear. A podcast.
Wow, that's a good dad joke. Awesome dad joke. Well done, sir. Well done. Yes. All right. So last question, the big 3 is related to the podcast and the name of the podcast. So what do you think makes you hard to kill?
I don't know. I think that's a really good question, Dave. What makes me hard to kill? I don't proclaim to be any sort of hard man. Anything like that. I think it's probably just from the stuff I've been through and the stuff I've experienced. Even now, we're in a massive detached house with acres of land, cars on the drive. And I don't say that to brag, right? Just to give you context. But I still now sit on the floor and sleep on the floor.
Wow.
Right? I'm not like a luxury guy or anything like that. Right. And then when I had Johnny Collins, one of my ex-military buddies, he came and stayed over. He was like, I'll sleep on the floor. And I was like, yes, this is do you know what I mean? I'm not hung up on needing to be, swaddled in luxury. No, by no means. And even now, not this particular T-shirt, but I own clothes that have got holes in. And I'm not driven by putting, watches on my wrist or jewelry or tattoos or anything like that. I'm a very, very simple guy. So I think the thing that makes me hard to kill would be the simplicity in which I live. And, usually people that take people captive, I want to do harm. They strip things away from them, remove things off them. And honestly, that wouldn't emotionally damage me by any means. So yeah, probably just from keeping things simple. That probably makes me
a Spartan stoic mindset.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, roger that, man. That's freaking solid, man. That plushness, it starts to set in, man. It's happening to me now, and it's just like, no. It's like, no. Like I got my extra thick padded mattress now, and I got like my Conform pillow. And I'm like, I don't know if I can live without this thing. I'm like, oh, Dave, come on, harden up. Yeah, it creeps in, man. Your wife's like, come on. She's like, just get a nice soft pillow. I'm like, I don't know. And then, that's one step to, being super ultra soft and just being a plush doll for the rest of your life, man.
There's no breeding goes on when you're ultra soft, Dave.
No, and there's not. Scott, I'm gonna tell my wife, the floor, nothing from now on. Floor, nothing. We got to harden up. Rich Wellington said so. Oh man, I hope she doesn't listen to this podcast. All right, Rich. Well, you know what? It's been a hoot. Really appreciate you coming on. Do you have anything going on your end that you want to let people know, let the listeners know that they can latch on to or listen to? What do you got going on, buddy?
Oh, well, they can find me on Facebook. I presume this will be going out on Facebook. I'm always open to, people adding me on my personal profile. So just look for Rich Wellington and somewhere you'll find this face. Go ahead and drop me a message or something. I do try. Got the Facebook page. Most of that stuff is, it revolves around the communication, the connecting and stuff. You probably find value in it, even if you're not a business person, in all honesty, because of the hard resolution around communicating and connecting with other human beings. We've got an Instagram page, but there's no content on there right now, so don't add me on Instagram. I am Rich Wellington. Yeah, I've added it. I've taken the real estate, but there's nothing going on there. And richwellington.com, again, the website is there, but it's in the maintenance mode. So it makes you think that I'm actually building something and something is being created. But in all honesty, I've not got anything going on behind the scenes with the website. I've had the joy and the luxury of having a lot of really great referrals and just working with great businesses. So I've not had to be outwardly like pushing my thing. But yeah, Facebook and LinkedIn are the two places where I hang out the most. And the things that we're launching this year, we've got a lot of focus on LinkedIn and helping people raise their profiles and raise awareness, and whether that's getting on other people's podcasts or doing joint ventures or, capturing leads, for their own business. We launch a boot camp, a couple of times a year. That's going to be launching at the end of January, but I'm not supposed to say because that's like top secret. We only actually launch it and then let people know when the date is. And then we're doing some live
right now, just for everybody to know. This is like the British way of saying this is ultra high top secret shit.
If I do it twice,
dude.
Yeah, that's even more top secret. And then we're going to be running a lot of events at our home as well. We're very excited to host a lot of 2 and 3 day events where we take people through like masterminds and accelerated ways of helping them connect and communicate and create their content for social media and stuff. So in all honesty, you're probably best just come in and connect with me on Facebook or Instagram and then just quizzing the shit out of me.
Right. Or dropping a sexy meme.
That's a sexy meme.
Sexy meme or a sexy GIF. That's the way of the future, man. I'm starting to use that now on my Facebook page. You guys, hey, if you want some free shit, sexy GIF is the only way forward, man.
Everyone loves sexy. Everyone
loves sexy GIFs, man.
All the perverts come out of the woodwork.
They're like, oh, I can do that? Oh, cool. Yeah, it's like as soon as you just a bunch of random shit going into tubes. That's like every one of them that like shows up. Didn't know there were so many of those on the internet. It's wild, man. All right, buddy. This has been a real hoot. I really appreciate you doing this. And yeah, so all that info will be in the show notes for sure, so people can get in touch with you. And yeah, guys, like I'll be honest, like Rich has just been freaking a rock star since we touched base about a month and a half ago. And yeah, it's just awesome. If you guys are thinking about doing anything related to connecting with people, selling, you name it, drop him a line. He's super easy to talk to, especially if you're ex-military. Well, you'll instantly make some sort of bond related to running around naked at some point and telling some morbid joke about your past history, being in Budapest or Germany or wherever it may be. Who knows where you guys have been and what you guys have done. So Rich, thanks so much. And yeah, hope to talk to you real soon, buddy. Cheers.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, Dave.
No worries.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can find out more about training, nutrition, and mindset at davemorrow.net. Be sure to like us on Facebook and Instagram at Dave Morrow PT. And don't forget, strong people are hard to kill.